Hello, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to watch my presentation. I'm John Paredes, and I'm going to talk about what photography has taught me over the years of shooting mainly for fun. So here's the agenda and just a quick rundown of the lessons I've learned. So, about me. Who is John? So, I'm a Seattle area, mostly self-taught photographer. I took a photography class in high school, and they taught darkroom technique, but no compositional or storytelling skills were taught. I once thought that I'd photograph weddings on the side, um, but after working one wedding, I decided that it wasn't for me. Now I mainly shoot landscapes and cityscapes and still life, as well as portraits and candid photos of my family. So, lesson one, slow down. Many of the lessons I've learned over the years are derived from this one. Um, so, for me, uh, it's thinking about being intentional when taking a photo. So, by the time I bring the camera up to my face, I want to have an idea of what I'm looking for. I don't want to just take a ton of photos of random things without clear intention. Um, and part of that is don't spray and pray. It's easy for me to just hold down the shutter button and think that I got the shot because I took so many photos. Um, but oftentimes I end up with either the same photo 10 times over or none of my photos turn out how I expected. And another part of this is I try to take in the environment. So from behind the viewfinder, it's easy for me to miss what else is happening around me. So sometimes I'll walk around an area before even taking my camera out, um, just to prevent myself from staying in one spot the whole time I'm there. Lesson two, work the scene or turn around. There have been many times where I spent most of the time shooting a scene in the same spot and position. And I might get nice photos doing this, but I'm also limiting what scenes I capture. Um, and sometimes just by moving even a little bit, I can see the scene from a new perspective and may even prefer that new composition. For example, this next photo um, I took at Cary Park. Um, and there's nothing wrong with this photo. I actually have a print of it hanging in my office. Um, but to me, it lacks the storytelling that this image has. And all I did was turn around and walk a few feet. And whenever I look at this one, it brings back memories of, how crowded the park was and, all the sightseers and photographers there and just the whole scene of it. And here's another example. So I didn't move much taking this photo and the next photo. Um, so for this one, there's nothing wrong with it. To me, I like it, but all I did was raise my camera just a little bit and turn it sideways. And I much prefer this one. You could just see so much more of the trees and a little bit more of the color, and you still get the rain that's on the ground. Lesson three: I won't always get the shot. So even if I'm more deliberate with trying to get things right and working the scene, I sometimes won't get the photo I want. I could do everything right from planning the time I go out to bringing all the gear I need and researching the location, and I still go home without the shot. And in the past, I would get so disappointed that I didn't get it and that I wasted my time. But now I look at it as a learning experience, and I approach the next time I go to the same location, if I have that opportunity, with more confidence that I'll get the shot right because of what I did wrong last time. So I got the cherry blossom shots in the last section only after a couple years of going to the same spot to take photos. The other times I had photos that I liked, but not ones that I really loved. So this photo, I took it the year before, and I hated almost everything about it. I didn't like the composition. There was a lack of interest in the photo, and too many people just milling around doing random things. So I went back the following year thinking about how I would take the photo differently. And one thing I thought about was going to this location when the weather wasn't as good. Um, why would I do that? Well, two reasons. One, it was less likely that people would be out. And two, I thought the rain would add some interesting elements to the trees and blossoms. So, lesson four, try something new. I like to test myself at times by getting out of my comfort zone, whether it is finding a subject I've never photographed before or trying a new technique. I may not use that technique right away or consistently, but I may find myself in a situation where it can be used, and that could make the difference between getting a nice photo or being oblivious to the opportunity. For example, I've integrated film into my workflow. While it may not necessarily be new to me, the process of shooting, developing, and scanning the film at home is a new process for me. So I have even more control over different elements of my photo. And even from selecting a film stock, based on the scene, that helps me prepare to go out and photograph by thinking about, how would that different film stock react to the light I'm expecting and the subject. And so I'm thinking about that process a lot more often when I go out to shoot film. So these next two photographs were shot on film. Another example is that I've been trying to integrate macro photography into some of the still life subjects that I take. It may not make sense to do it at the time, but I just want to see if there's something interesting there. So I took this photo, or these next two photos, when I was preparing for a food photography exhibit. The first one is of a coconut shell, and I wanted to see if I could bring out the details of the shell. And the second photo is of caramelized sugar on turon, and I mainly took it because it's one of my favorite things on turon. Lesson five, put the camera away. Sometimes the best thing for me to do is to just put the camera away, put it back in my bag. Uh, Maybe don't even think that I have it. And as I've mentioned before, I've been sucked into just shooting for the sake of shooting because I don't want to miss something. However, it comes at the expense of missing something else in the scene or even missing out on experiencing other things. And this is especially true when I'm out with my family. And I often remind myself to just put the gear away and enjoy what we're doing. And I feel like that, even though I'm not shooting anything, that helps make me a better photographer because I can experience things and then I use that experience to influence what photos I take. Lesson 6, gear doesn't always matter. In the past, I've chased getting the newest and shiniest gear just because it's new, so it must be better. Well, that's not necessarily true. My primary camera is more than 6 years old, and in my opinion, it has great image quality, and I don't see a reason to upgrade, especially because I feel that knowing how to use my gear and learning how to compose a photo is far more beneficial to getting good photos than new technology alone. Um, However, my most used camera isn't a camera at all, it's my phone. And I've heard it countless times, and maybe you have too, that the best camera is the one you have with you. And frankly speaking, I always have my phone with me. It's ready within seconds to take a photo, whether it's something I need to remember or quickly photographing something my kids did that was silly. Sometimes, even if I know I'm going somewhere with a lot of potential for nice photos, I leave my camera at home. Why would I do this? It's because I want to challenge myself to make photos that I love within the limitations of the camera that's on my phone. And as I mentioned before, I just want to experience having fun with my family. So these next few photos I just took on my phone. And as you can see, you can get some very nice images just using the camera on your phone. And finally, lesson 7, shoot for my audience, and that's me. So, what do I mean by this? Well, I'm by no means an elite photographer, and I don't believe that no other opinion matters to me when it comes to my photos. But what I mean is that I photograph because it brings me joy. Whether I'm documenting my kid's life, taking family photos, or going out to specifically photograph something, I try to capture something that makes me happy. And I try not to get sucked into shooting only to be an Instagram influencer or vying for countless Facebook likes, because then the purpose of my photography changes and I lose what vision I originally had for the pictures. So, with that, I want to thank you all for spending your time with me as I talked about some of the things that I've learned through having fun with photography. Please feel free to email me at john.paredes@gmail.com, or take a look at some of my photos at johncparedes.com.